Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Hill, your legacy builder at Winning Proof, and I am here with another Winning Proof Unscripted. Today, I have Trevor Singleton. Trevor and I met on LinkedIn through our travels around LinkedIn, and I was very intrigued with the diversity of his I'll call it a resume of his professional experience. So I'm going to read his voiceover bio because we're going to start with that, and then we'll move into his coaching experience. As an experienced voiceover artist, Trevor's repertoire covers a wide range of voiceover needs, including narration, commercial, and character. From audiobooks to commercials to retail and corporate PSAs, Trevor can serve as the voice of your company, helping you to reach out to current clients as well as connect to and attract new customers. Included with his talent are a range of accents, as well as an authenticity that translates well with listeners. So welcome, Trevor.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I was just intrigued by Trevor's LinkedIn profile. It was just so interesting. So let's kind of dive in first to the voiceover. How did you originally get into wanting to do voiceovers?
Well, so when I was growing up, a lot of times I enjoyed acting. You know, I was into many plays, things along those lines. Probably started when I was very young. I was going to church with my grandma. She took me there ever since I was 4. So, running after her, going to church, and then you can also recall that those who have gone to church, when Easter comes up, everyone has like an Easter piece. So, you buy the outfits, you dress them up, the girls are in their pastels and their cute shoes and everything. Us little 5 or 6-year-olds are in our, clip-on ties. So, and of course the parents, they have to practice with them saying whatever they say, and some might be like, a quick little poem or a quick little scripture, Jesus wept. So something like that. I was definitely blessed with the gift of memory. And so I was able just to memorize long passages. So everybody else went and I was able to go up there and I'd just be up there saying this passage for, just a minute straight. Parents are looking going, is somebody feeding him or anything? So from there, I liked, being on stage. I liked being in plays and the whole part of playing a character. So from playing a character, doing that in schools and high school and things like that, I've been always told that I had a good voice. So when and making announcements and doing impressions and making family members laugh, that's always been something that's been a joy to me. So since I didn't go to the acting route, didn't travel all the way to LA and do the whole starring actor bit, I thought, well, what's another way that I can get into that arena of acting and being impressionable, have my voice heard? So thought in voiceovers. Someone asked me, hey, would I do a voiceover for something? And I said, sure. Did a pro bono voice, enjoyed it, and wanted to get into it. So did some research, began to really put myself out there, and and the rest is history. So done a little bit, and I'm now reigniting that talent, that portion of my life. Especially with what's going on now. It's a matter of, you want to do things that's fun, things that you enjoy. So here I am with the voiceovers.
Well, that's incredible. And you have such a wide range of what you do, from audiobooks to commercials to retail to corporate PSAs. How do you approach the different styles, like a corporate PSA is different than, say, a children's book? So how do you approach projects? How do you interview? Do you interview the clients to ask them, what are you looking for? Do you have like the corporate voice, or do you have, how do you approach those projects?
Well, each project is going to be unique. And so when you get a project, let's say it's a corporate PSA, one of the first things we want to do is we want to read the script. Make sure and see, and you want to ask them very first and foremost, before I even approach it, what is it that you're looking for? You know, many years ago, a lot of people were into one of the most famous, rest in peace, voiceover actors, Don LaFontaine. And a lot of people you may know him, you may not, but you remember when they had the movie trailers. Movie trailers would start, "In a world of terror and chaos, one man." So that was Don LaFontaine. He did all those. He had that voice. I mean, and his story is great. I mean, his voice literally changed. He was, I think, 13 years old, and one day he was like, "Oh, how you doing?" And one day he came in, "Would you like to answer?" "No, I would not like to answer the question." He was 13 years old, and they thought it was a joke, and his voice changed. So that was the big thing, everyone wanted that announcer voice, that spacey voice. When it comes to, but that has really been transitioned. So when it comes to like a corporate PSA, you want to ask them, what is it that you're looking for? What's the tone that you want to convey? Because rather than the announcer voice, sometimes they want it just to be authentic. They say, "Well, what is your, we like your regular voice. Can you say it like that?" And then you start to work with the script. You hit on some words. When it comes to the difference, if it comes to like a child's book, a character voice, you really want to say, okay, what's the character? You want to really pull as much as you can from the author. The goal is to really have them draw you a picture so that your voice can fit what they're matching. In this sense, the customer is always right. So you want to say, okay, what is it that pleases you? It's not going to be just one take, but I try to pull as much as I can from those that's requesting, whether it's a PSA there, so that you can see and be very open. I try not to come with preconceived thoughts. I have, of course, things that I can do, but it's about what the client wants. Does that answer your question?
That absolutely does. And you say you do a range of accents. Now, we have a captive audience here. So can you give a couple of examples of the accents that you do?
Well, I'm not sure if I can give a couple of examples here. So now this is one here where you take your time. You really want to focus on your words. You want to have them there, and then you want to pass it over to the other guy. And this guy's, he's from Boston, and so I'll pass it over to him. And so don't get me started. Over in Boston there, I'm telling you, I try to go shopping. I usually take people down to the Boston Harbor where it's like wicked dark and full of sharks, but then they're really scared. So, I just bring them over to Target, do a little shopping. We get some some chowder, go down there and, go to Malden, go to Bedford, all these places so that they know about Boston. And then, I bring them over to New York, and over New York, forget about it. I'm telling you, I mean, you really got to think about it. I talked to, Joey Bag of Donuts. You don't want to hear about it. He's like, nah, let's go. It's all crazy. I'm like, hey, let's take a trip. Let's go down to Disneyland. So I usually try to focus on that. But then if I want someplace warm, I usually take them over to the islands. So if you go to the islands there and you're on the beach, what you want to do is be respectful of the people around there. You want to take your time, okay? You want to show a lot of respect. Seeing it's a matter of being able to enjoy yourself and fitting into the climate and culture. Leave your worries at home, man. Does that make sense now? And then when you're finished on the beach, you can pop right over to merry old England. You can go right over there, get yourself some fish and chips, talk over there, hop right over the pond. It'd be just the great things, and have whatever type you want to have for breakfast, whether you want to have Cheerios, Apple Jacks, or Rice Krispie treats, any of those things there. So it's just a matter of whatever accents fit in. So was that good enough for you?
That is incredible. Yes. And how you flawlessly transitioned to each voice is a unique talent. Definitely. I love that. So as long as we're on that road, can you give a short example of if you're narrating or doing voiceover for an audiobook, for a children's book, how would you approach the different characters in the book? Say my cousin and I wrote an animal book, based on the animals or the characters. Or if it's kids, how do you approach that? And do you do the shrill? Can you do that? Or how do you approach that type of project?
Well, one of the first things to do is to I want to read the entire book, get the understanding, and speak to the author. So one of the things I've learned in communication, it's not about what I'm saying, it's about what they're communicating and how I'm processing that information. Everyone has different styles of communication. So it's important to get that understanding of not to come with a preconceived notion, not to read into it, but you want to pull out of it. So I want to pull out of the author, what are the things that is key to them? What do they imagine that character to be? And so I'm getting the entire scope, and I want to say, what do they want to convey? What's the experience they want the child to have when they read that? So getting that and taking those notes, it's a lot of times you're looking at it and saying, okay, how can I inflect this? What are the things that I can do? So it may be a matter of being able to transition to go and say, well, once upon a time, we have little Johnny here, and Johnny goes up to his friend Bill and says, hey, Bill, what's going on, sir? You're all right? Are we gonna go down to the park and play? So, I don't know. I gotta talk to my mom, and she's gotta, I've got to do my chores, but before I can go down there, So you may be able to flow into different voices, but it might be a knack of saying, if I can't really flow into it, it may be, just doing separate recordings. So a lot of times, many voiceover artists will sometimes they'll do a table read where they'll transition into the voice, but it may be good for them to be able to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to just do each character separately, and then, put it together later on in post-editing. So that's an option that you can have. So if you want to really stay and keep the character as whole as possible, that's a possibility. So some artists can transition like that, but other times they may just be able to do the entire book in one voice and then go through, and fill in the gaps so that you have the headphones on, you're playing that, and you know exactly where to fill in. Does that make sense?
Okay. No, that makes sense. Can you do a little girl voice?
Little girl voice. I can try. I usually do. The one voice that I'll usually get is that if I'm in a supermarket, let's say, or a store, and the kids, they'll wave and hi, and I'm tall. I'm 6'3". So I'm like waving. I smile at them, and kids sometimes you don't have to even wave. You just do some little eye tricks like, peekaboo. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And then if they come up and say hi, I'll kneel down and go, hi, how you doing? Doing okay? And you're doing okay? You playing fun? You going shopping? All right. Hey, high five. So the kids will just stop right there. They'll be stunned. They're like, is that really coming out of you? I'm like, sure, that's coming out of me. Okay, hi, okay, I gotta go in there, I gotta go check out, bye-bye. And so they'll just, the parents are laughing, going, really? The kids are like, wow, that's crazy. And kids have no filter, which is great. So they're ready to laugh, they're ready to have fun, so it's an enjoyable thing to be able to say that. And then they're like, wait a minute, it sounds familiar. I'm like, it might be Elmer. All the kids, everybody knows Elmer. so you do that, you got that, you got Chili Pop. From Pikachu and all those things. So all those things that, because really I'm just trying to get them to laugh, to enjoy themselves. And kids are the best. They haven't been filtered and put watered down by any news or anything. They're just looking to have fun. So
yeah, absolutely. That brings up a question, is that when you watch, do you watch, and I know maybe you don't do a lot of kids, children's books, a lot of your things are commercials and retail and corporate, but do you watch kids cartoons to learn to mimic the different voices on cartoons? Is that how you learn, or do you just pick up a voice or hear it somewhere like that? Or I'm a big cartoon proponent of the old style cartoons.
Yeah, same as well. So actually, and I probably need to update that, but I do, if anyone's out there, I definitely do children's books as well. And I'm a strong cartoon fan, grew up watching, the Saturday morning cartoons, and so I was always a fan of the different voices, the actors, the different lines. I was also a latchkey kid. So that meant, my mom, she was working, and so I would come home from school, come home from school and then, just be in there doing homework and then watch TV. Then in summertime, sometimes I just be home. So I had my little, I get up at 7, from 8 to 11 watching cartoons, then watching Price is Right and news, and then cartoons would come back on. So I was a big fan of like, Mighty Mouse and Fred the Flintstones and He-Man and all those things, and also sort of the characters, the robots and things. So yeah, so I was definitely a fan of the cartoon. So to be able to do that, and of course the Muppets, like Kermit, hi, I'm Kermit the Frog, everybody remembers Kermit, like hello, so I have a different set of skills, so skills that make me a nightmare for someone like you, so like if you don't come and have fun, so you'll miss out on what we're doing. So, come on now. So I was, fan of the whole Muppet Show, of course, Sesame Street, Big, Big Bird, and of course, Mr. Snuffleupagus, old bird, and I'm like, how did no one ever see him? So you got this big elephant, though. You got Mr. Snuffleupagus, old bird, I don't know if they'll like me, so that, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and all those things. So I enjoyed that, and still do to this day. So there's always fun. I always like to, bring out a smile. It's kind of selfish of me. It's like I'll work hard to make someone laugh because I enjoy their laughter, especially kids and their parents and things like that. So.
Yes, I don't think I've laughed as much during a podcast as I have during this one. So you have definitely accomplished that goal, because I find this very entertaining and funny with the different voices. Now, to switch, have you ever considered doing sports announcing?
I would be open to it. I would definitely, if I did, I think I've watched plenty of sports, so, from basketball, the football and things. But yeah, I would definitely do announcing, because the good thing with announcing too is that you're engaging. You're engaging, you're giving your opinion, and you're giving an opportunity to really frame what's going on here. So you're telling a story, you're doing commentating. And it's funny you actually mentioned sportscasting. And sometimes I think there's been situations when I'll come in and I'll commentate on something just to make someone laugh. If someone's there, it's like, oh well, they're taking a test now. They've got to take their time. Oh, he's bringing out the number 2 pencil. Oh, this means that he's really focusing on it. So we want to hush over the crowd as he's writing his name. Oh, look at the way he drew the letter E. My gosh, he must have grown up with great penmanship. I mean, right there is somebody who's focused on what they're doing. So I've commentated on like the foolish things that make people laugh, and it's like, okay, they're like, really? Is he commentating? I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. You can, take a song and go, you ever wonder about those certain songs, songs that are very calm, like, in a nice polished atmosphere, they're saying, they like big things and they cannot lie. Those other people cannot deny. You're like, is he talking a song? Is that Sir Mix-a-Lot he's saying? Like, if he talks something, you're like, wow, he really just spoke it. Like, so yeah, so commentating, definitely up for it.
Wow, that's awesome. But you have another side to you too. Is that correct? A coaching side, and you have had a 20-year career of management and training and development experience. And you've been a team leader, a business consultant, facilitator, and chairman of the board of a 2,000 plus member nonprofit. And you have a master's degree in management and a concentration in leadership and organizational and human dynamics. Yeah, so the voiceover is the fun side. Is this a fun side too? Is this what do you get out of all your experience as a coach?
As a coach, I really do have a passion and joy. I love to being able to help to train and develop people. What drew me to coaching is that with consulting and other things that are out there, a lot of times you get a problem, whether it's life or business, anything, or whatever the subject may be. You present the problem, you get the answer. With coaching, it's a matter of walking with someone, asking them some questions, taking them through a series of exercises where it discovers the thing that's inside of them. You know, one of the things I love when I train somebody, or if I'm doing some developing or coaching, is that when I turn their head to something, and that turn their head, that opens the door. So I say something that gives them a key, and they open the door on their own, and they discover something inside of them. To see that look on their face, it really does completely change the atmosphere. To help people know that they're capable of breaking out of where they are and breaking through to next levels. To me, it's a wonderful thing, to be able to, and it's really guiding them and saying, okay, this isn't something that I'm teaching you a technique, but I'm just helping to open doors that are inside of you, or talents that are lying dormant inside of you, just waking them up. So I see it as really helping to activate people, being that inner guide, being able to train someone, whether I'm training somebody on a particular software or a particular subject matter, or whether I'm coaching them on something personal in their life. They're trying to break through to a next ceiling, maybe get a better job. They're trying to go into a different certificate program. They're trying to do certain things in their life. Maybe they're trying to be healthier. They're trying to live a healthier lifestyle. And just showing them really what are the things that they're telling themselves. What's the way that you can change your inner talk so that the outer walk you want to represent is reflected in your inner talk. Because really, when it comes to it, that's really what it is. Your outer walk is represented by your inner talk. And so when you're challenged, you're wondering, why you can't get stuck out of there. You have to ask, what is it that you're saying to yourselves? So as a coach, you're really getting to the heart of the matter. You're helping them to reshape their foundation, to rebuild their foundation, so that they can then proceed to these milestones and achieve and surpass their goal.
Well, yeah, that is so excellent. And I think everybody could benefit from coaching. Absolutely. It's almost like therapy or counseling when somebody is drawing out the best in you and breaking down barriers that have really, a lot of people are just hindered their whole life by that inner talk, because they hear the mom or the dad from childhood saying, you can't do it. I know you couldn't do it. You're not smart. You're not this or that. And that can, unless you proactively attack that as an adult, it hinders you from becoming your best person and really hitting your own, stride. So what do you tell people who, with a lot of times I'll say your inner me is your worst enemy. So you take that inner me, and what do? Do you just crack it up and dissolve it? Do you take your clients through a series of exercises that they can really break that inner voice up?
Exactly. What I do is, and what we'll do is we'll really draw up a plan. I have some, signature programs, of course, that I can take them through. And it's a matter of them really catering it to what their goal is, what their needs are. So you're looking at it, and it sometimes it might just be, I'm not sure where I want to go. Mm-hmm. And so it's literally the first thing you want to do is identify where you are. Because before you can go somewhere, you have to identify where you are, where you are mentally, where you are emotionally, spiritually, just not even from a physical standpoint. If you're getting into a car, you can't know a destination until, there's like, okay, what's your starting point? You go to Google Maps, it's going to ask you start, end. It's not going to give you directions without a start and without an end. Same thing with coaching. You need a start. So first we need to identify and define and agree that this is where we're starting. And it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. We're not even putting adjectives on it. We're defining where we are. Because when you start to put adjectives on it, then you start to, tie emotions to those adjectives. the first thing you want to do is really just define where a person is. Then once you define where you are, then we could say, okay, now that I know where I am, I can see where I want to go. And everybody does need that. People do need coaching. It's not a matter of, and you need coaching in many areas. Even as parents, when a mother and father, they get together, they have children. A lot of times we think that we're supposed to just parent this child or these children on our own. This is it. This is what I'm in charge of. This is what I am. But that's not the case. You should have a team of people, those people, whether they're friends, family, or whatever, that you're exposing your children to, that's going to help raise them. We're all raised, everyone says, there's functional and dysfunctional. There's always some type of level of dysfunction. But it's a matter of really having the right team that's around you. It's, you're not a great mom or a great dad because you raise your child by yourself. You become that way when you realize that you're not enough, that you need team around you. And that is a big hurdle too. Yeah. That's a big hurdle. So anybody that's watching, you really have to get to that point and say that, and look in the mirror and say, I am not enough. I need help. To say those words is a huge step. And to really embrace that and say, okay, I need help in just making it through this next hour, this next day, this next week. I'm feeling, they may feel overwhelmed and what have you. It's not, and of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed if you don't feel you're at the helm, if you don't feel that you're at the driver's seat and you know where you're going. So it's a matter of saying, okay, I need help. Where can I go? No one's supposed to live by themselves. We're not called to live by ourselves. We are called to help each other to be able to raise up and be that different access point to that. Everyone's a different key, and key is just an access. And when you have the right key, you can open that right door to help you discover the areas that will bring you to a point of reaching and even exceeding your goals.
That is so excellent. Yes, I love your answer on that, because it's so true. The saying it takes a village, that's kind of what you're saying. You're not an island. You need that support group. And that, I think, is the hardest, like you said, is the hardest thing to say. I need help. I need support, because we're taught if you need help, you're weak.
Right, exactly. And the addendum to that, not only it takes the right village, because you can have a village, but then it's a matter of, now that's your perspective, that's your thing. It's about really having the correct village, because if you have a particular village that's going to raise that thing, and if it's not correct, or it's against society or against culture, that becomes your truth. Prime example, if I grew up drinking brown water is my truth. Mm-hmm. And so if you give me clear water, and I'm in clear water, that's going to help my system, help me digest and everything, I'm going to say that's wrong, because that goes against my truth. My truth is this brown water. Because that's how I was raised. Everybody around me was drinking brown water. And though, we weren't the healthiest, obviously we're drinking brown water, this is what everybody was doing. This was my village. So it's a matter of having the right, correct village that's going to do the right things for me. Not say yes to everything, but that's going to steer me out. It's going to help hone me out. That's going to be able to see the block of wood and be able to pull out the person that's in there by shaving off the sides and contouring, being the sculptors, and that at the end result, the continuous end result, you get a person that's out of there that's well-rounded and that's constantly learning. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes total sense. And Michelangelo has been quoted as saying he already saw the finished work inside the stone, and he just chiseled and picked, and he was bringing forth that object that was already there. So that reminds me of what you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what makes a good coaching client, and I think I will, but I want to ask you first, is there anybody who makes a terrible coaching client?
Anyone that makes a terrible coaching client? Yeah, well, I wouldn't say a terrible coaching client. I would say somebody who may want a coach, but potentially may need therapy, may
Mm,
need, a licensed medical profession before they get that.
uh,
As a coach, I'm not licensed to be a therapist. I don't have that as of yet. Not sure if that's down the line, but it's literally a matter of saying, does this person need that? So I wouldn't say a person would be a terrible coach, but it's a matter of a terrible potential candidate. But it's literally, what is the help that they need? So it may be beyond, it may be outside of the realm of coaching. Some help potentially just maybe therapeutic, maybe medicinal, on those areas. So it's really defining that. So possibly the coach in the beginning may say, okay, let's talk about some things.
yeah.
And he may key in on some things, saying, hey, I want to help you. I definitely want to help you because I think I think I can do that. But it would be prudent really of the coach to say, hey, I think this is beyond my scope, which is a very wise coach, to know what's beyond your scope and say, this is really the help that you would need. And once you get that point, then maybe I can be an assistance to you, or I can know in someone that's being assistance. Because
Yeah.
it's not that, you can't be everything to everyone, but you can at least be a help and possibly point people in the right direction. And that's what a lot of coaches do.
Yeah, and I think an unteachable spirit too, somebody who comes to you and says they want coaching, but they don't want to do anything you say, or everything
Yeah.
you say they debunk, or they have an excuse. Is there a point that you come to that you say, you're not the right ideal, I don't think I'm the right person for you? Or do you release a person that just has an unteachable spirit?
Yeah, and I'm glad you even used that word, because it's really being able to read that spirit, being
Mhm.
able to know what you're walking into or what people walk in with. Because you're not just meeting the person, you're meeting everything they've been through. You may, up front, physically with your eyes, you'll see their representative. But they're coming in with what they've grown up with, what they've modeled, everything that they've been through, good or bad, everything that has shaped their character to that point. And it's up to you to say, okay, what is it? Can I really help them? Are they in a receptive position? That's really it. It's a matter, am I receptive? Am I in this position to be able to say, to be able to really help them and be of a point? And if they're not, then yeah, that's a point where we say, I think we've come to a point where, I've done all I can and believe you received all you can. So hopefully, there are some other resources I can point you to, but I feel, we've come to the end of our term. So yeah, there is that point in time where person may hang on, but we may say it's time to be released.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. That you just come to a point, you can't help them anymore, but you read their spirit and you know that they need to move on and you need to move on. So I want to kind of wrap up by asking you, who would make an ideal client for you that you think you could help the most?
An ideal client for me. So an ideal client for me would be someone would be somebody that's looking really to gain accountability. I've really put myself out there as not only as a life coach, but as an accountability coach. Because many people know where they want to go. They know they're like, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. Challenge is they're not sure how to get there, or they've made attempts to get there and they've
Mhm.
have not gotten there yet. They've been striving for 30 days, a year, 5 years, 10 years. I help them to come along and make a plan and make sure I hold them accountable to the milestones that we set in order to achieve their goals. So it's somebody that's willing to get to a point and say, okay, I need accountability. I need somebody that's going to be my tagline for my coaching, which is the foot in your backside, making sure you don't backslide. So I'm one who says, okay, if you're ready for somebody to really be that foot, to be the one that's that's going to help you to get into that's going to be that foot in your asset to make sure that you have the right habits. So to get you to that point, that's going to be key. So you're coming with somebody that's willing, someone that's there. Also I deal with corporate clients as well. So private coaching, group coaching, for new managers, new directors, those that really are, if you're over people, if you have people that are reporting to you, you want to be better at your position, or you've been in a position and you haven't made any progress. The people under you are sort of stifled. They're not happy. Then it's time for us to have a conversation, because it's now time for us to come up with a plan so we can see how we can take it from here to where everyone is there siloed into an actual thriving group. So an ideal clients would be like new managers, new directors. I can work with businesses, and I can also work with private coaching. So anyone that really has a goal but not sure what steps to take to achieve it. I'm very good. I really pride myself in being able to break things down and then finding out what are the steps to take. And then if for some reason, if there's a challenge, helping them to be able to identify those limiting beliefs and giving them ways to move past that. So I deal with private coaching, group coaching, businesses, new managers, business owners who are taking on people, and those that have a set goal, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to get higher learning, even if you want to learn a language or learn an instrument, it might be something like that. Yeah. I can come up with a plan that will help hold you accountable. And usually I just tell, if you're not sure if you need that, reach out to me. We can have a free call. We can have a free call and we can see what are the steps, what are the things that I can help you with or help your company with, or help, or set up a master class and do that. Because I can do workshops, motivational speaking, whether on-site or virtual.
That is so excellent. What a broad range of, services that you offer. So if somebody has listened to this and they've heard the voiceover part, and now they've heard the coaching side of you, and they think, you know what? I think that I need coaching. I have some inner voices that are saying, you can't, you can't, you can't. And I really need that support. How can people get in touch with you?
So people can get in touch with me. They can go to my website, which is www.sscoachingsolutions.com. So you can go to my website, go to the contact page, and we can set up a free 30-minute call. I'm also on various social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Single Source Coaching Solutions. That's my company. I'm also on Instagram at SS Coaching Solutions. I'm on Twitter at Coaching Single. And also got a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is also Single Source Coaching Solutions. So I'm on there. And the last one that we mentioned when you first started, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. So for your coaching needs and for voiceover needs, I'll probably be making a page for the voiceover, but you can still reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking to reach out, direct message me. And last but not least, of course, my email address. My email address is tsingleton, so my first name, if you see there, Trevor Singleton, so tsingleton at sscoachingsolutions.com. So you can reach me there. There for coaching needs, for voiceover needs. We can connect, and hopefully I'll be there to meet your need, and we can start a great partnership.
That is awesome, Trevor. I'm so thankful. Thank you for being on here today. Thank you for your insight and your wisdom, making me laugh through the whole first part with all your different voices and accents. They're very engaging. I really thank you for being a guest today.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Michelle Hill. It was so good. I mean, it was so great to get your invitation. I said, man, I must have done something good. God done heard my prayers. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, this was so entertaining. I love that. So I'm just gonna, if I can get through my laughs, you can, if you want to reach Winning Proof, you can reach me via my website, winningproof.com, and email winningproof@gmail.com. And I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. I have not tipped into TikTok yet. I am still, the jury is still out on that one.
And Pinterest, don't forget Pinterest.
Oh, Pinterest, yes. There's some things I have, a lot of boards, cooking boards I have on Pinterest as well. So thank you so much for watching another episode of Winning Proof Unscripted. And until next time, see you later.
Bye now.